Today's hearing on green buildings touches on many of the same issues the Select Committee examined during last week's hearing on energy efficiency. For the most part, policy to promote green buildings is simply policy to promote efficiency in building, construction, maintenance, and operations. There are several reasons to encourage more productive uses of energy. Improved efficiency gives us the ability to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the near term without enacting punishing regulations that would cripple our economy. According to the U.S. Green Building Council, buildings consume 40% of the energy used in the United States. That's more than both the industrial and transportation sectors. Buildings are responsible for 39% of CO2 emissions and 71% of electricity consumption. As Tony Stahl from Drivit Systems will tell us today, 80% of the buildings constructed before 1960 are poorly insulated. Energy literally seeps through the walls of these buildings. It is clear that increasing energy efficiency in buildings should be a high priority in our energy policy, but it shouldn't be just a government priority. With the potential savings and costs that these energy savings would create, I think that many building owners would want to make these improvements. Mr. Stahl says in his testimony that his company's insulation product will help lower annual energy costs by 10 to 20%. The Green Building Council says that energy-efficient buildings could generate up to a 9% decrease in operating costs, a nearly 8% increase in building values, and a more than 6% increase in return on investment. Who would want to reap those kinds of savings? Unfortunately, for my good friends in the majority party, their legislation to date has not been where their words are. In the energy bill passed during the previous Congress, there were certain tax credits for energy improvements that many people around the country have taken advantage of. I am one of those that did that. I replaced the furnace in my Menominee Falls, Wisconsin condominium, and I have been able to recoup in just a year and a half the cost of the additional furnace. We have not had global warming in Wisconsin. We had one of the coldest and snowiest winters in the last 30 years there. However, all of these credits expired at the end of last year, and nobody facing bad gas bills, bad electric bills, or if they heat with fuel oil, extremely bad fuel oil bills, has been able to do the type of work that has been given the tax credit because they don't know whether the tax credit will be there when the time comes to file their 2008 tax returns. Now, I'm told that the majority party is going to put an extender bill on the floor next week. I hope it's not stuck with a lot of other things that don't relate to energy and R&D tax credit. But the fact is that we've had almost 5 months slip by with no tax credits for doing these good things on the books. And that is the responsibility of the majority party, and they ought to put their legislation where their hot air has been. Now, last week I said that energy efficiency can produce great results when encouraged, but when mandated, these policies have the same effect as a tax. Please note that I'm talking about tax breaks rather than higher taxes directly or indirectly. And I think the same principle applies with policies to encourage green buildings. The amount of savings generated by energy-efficient buildings should be encouragement enough for building owners to make these changes. I also think that the federal government can help through R&D funding and tax credits. Additionally, establishing industry standards will go a long way toward ensuring that buildings old and new are as energy efficient as possible. However, the government should not take it upon itself to be issuing mandates for green buildings because that will be a tax for many. Not only that, I certainly don't have confidence that the government regulators will mandate the best, most effective energy solutions. It's not a stretch to think that these regulations will be much less efficient than the buildings that they seek to manage. Witness our off-again, on-again tax credit policy. I think that a mechanism already exists in the U.S. economy to encourage energy efficiency in buildings. The potential savings that green buildings create, coupled with the rising cost of energy, creates a compelling incentive for building owners to improve the efficiency of their structures. When it comes to efficiency, free market forces are far more efficient than regulations in turning buildings green. While the regulations may make buildings more efficient, only the free market and a more enlightened tax policy can make buildings and their owners' wallets greener at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.